Well, Kinross has been active in Russia since 1995. In fact, before Kinross was created as a separate company, some junior companies had been active in Russia, and they merged in the first couple of years in the early 90s. Our first mine was in the Magadan Oblast. It's called Kubaka, a very successful mine, which was sold in 2007. But over the life of that mine, Kinross produced close to 90 tons of gold in Russia. There were some challenges then. It's before any of the regulations regarding foreign ownership in mining were codified, but the company overcame those challenges. And about the time that Kubaka mine was being completed, or mined out rather, the management at Kinross changed. And under new management, headed by our then President and CEO Ty Burt, the company was looking to get back into Russia, and as a consequence, in 2007, acquired Bema Gold, which had been a junior and then intermediate mining company with some success in Magadan with the Julieta mine, and a very promising new mine called Kupol in Chukotka Autonomous District. In February of 2007, that deal was closed. The total value of our acquisition of Bema assets was well over $3 billion. The Kupol mine itself, total capital cost was in the neighborhood of $750 million. So it's quite a significant investment for our company, but also for Russia, which was the largest foreign investment in Russian mining period. Since 2007, we've gone from strength to strength. Kupol has produced well over 3 million gold equivalent ounces of metal in that time. We now, at Kupol, employ over 1,500 people, which includes offices, major office center in Magadan, offices in Bilibino, Pivek, Anadyr, all parts of Chukotka. And it's a very significant logistical investment as well, because we're virtually at the Arctic Circle. There's very limited ocean shipping, roughly from June till September. We have to build an ice road 420 plus kilometers from the port of Pivek to the mine, and as a consequence having to order consumables and durables virtually 18 months before they're needed and warehoused and stored is quite a challenge. Of course, that's something that Canadians are good at, having mined in the north of Canada as well. So our total investment since 2007 is roughly over $2 billion. And the rest of that investment comes from our new mine, the Dvainoye mine, which we purchased several years ago, and we're now completing the construction of the mine, including housing and all the necessary shops. And we hope to launch the mine before the end of this year. We will be adding another 400 employees in total, so our total employment will be well over 1,800 people. This mine will be, the ore that is mined at Dvainoye will be shipped to the Kupol mill, and it will be processed at Kupol. Basically what this does is it allows us to extend the life of the Kupol mine well beyond the original mine plan. And our activities are concentrated in Chukotka. We recently won an auction for a couple of additional licenses in the Chukotka region, a completely different part of Chukotka. Most Canadians won't know that Chukotka is the furthest northeast that you can get in Russia. It's roughly the size of France and has about 50,000 inhabitants, of which about 15 to 18,000 are indigenous people. It's a very remote part of the country, a phenomenally beautiful part of the country, but it has sort of defined the way that we do business because we're quite self-sufficient. We generate our own electrical energy, and we virtually have to import everything that we need to run the mine. It's been a very positive experience for us. We often tire of saying that we're the only investor in the Russian hard rock mining industry, the only foreign investor. It is a fact. It's disappointing, I think, for Russia because of the absence of additional capital, the absence of more value generation. And I think in terms of why other companies haven't come, there is quite a very strong negative bias. Often you'll read in the press where companies say that, well, Russia is very well endowed in mineral resources, but we're just not ready to go there yet because the regulatory environment isn't quite settled. Well, we think it's very challenging, obviously, but it's in some respects no worse than any other jurisdictions. And we've had a very positive experience in Russia, and we look forward to continue mining here for many years to come. There's a lot of skepticism in the West, let's face it, about investing in Russia, and you'll see that in headlines where a lot of editors are really keen to emphasize the negative, and a lot of people who are not well versed in the country will unfortunately come to their own conclusions based on these negative reports. We know that internally that Russia and its leadership is trying very hard to improve that impression that people make, and there's a very active program to raise Russia's investment rating, the World Bank rating, from somewhere around 115th that they are currently to in the top 20. And there's a lot of programs going on in parallel. It's a very daunting prospect. There are some successes. There are some areas that continue to prove difficult. I think one thing that the press in the West must understand, that there is a sincere commitment on the part of the leadership in the country, and there's a very strong cadre of officials, very talented young officials in the bureaucracy and in politics that are doing everything they can to make this come true. But this is a very large, very old society, and there is no consensus, I have to say, in terms of which direction the country should go in. So when you read about negative things, perhaps in the political realm in the West, there is a tendency by companies, potential investors, to reach conclusions of an economic nature. And in my experience, when you are vested here, when you have had experience, you see a completely different dimension to the country, and you understand the challenges that they face. Will Russia manage to rise to the 20s in this World Bank rating? I don't know. I think it'll probably be later than people would hope, and that's just a realistic assessment of the challenges that they face. But can it happen? Absolutely. Extremely talented people, dedicated public servants that they do have here. The problems that everybody knows that are well represented in the West, well reported, the accusations of corruption and bureaucracy, etc. Those are all true. But the experience of our company and many others here has been very positive. You can learn to deal with these issues, and it's very important to maintain the values with which your company operates in your home country, and that your executives, both expatriates and local executives and local people that you recruit, are pulling together. And that's a question of corporate culture. It's a question of corporate governance, how you run your business, and I think it is definitely possible to work well as an investor and to contribute to this initiative to improve the country's investment rating. There is a community of successful foreign investors in Russia that is quite confident in the collective experience that these firms have had. You can find success in fast-moving consumer goods. You can find success in high technology. You can find a lot of successes. Unfortunately, these are pockets of success which don't easily translate in the eyes of companies that haven't either tried or who have tried and failed here. I think the ingredients for success are quite common, no matter what sector the company works in. Preparation is really key. By preparation, I mean full analysis of the market. I mean a review of why other people have failed, things that have impeded success. And the answers are quite common. For example, if we're talking about preparation, a lot of companies that I'm aware of over the years who've come here have decided to mobilize very quickly, spend a lot of money very quickly, bring in large numbers of people, trying to replicate what they've done in other countries. When in fact I think a more appropriate recipe would be to take one's time, to set up a representative office, to meet as many people as possible, to evaluate in the sector in which your company operates, to evaluate what is the best method of coming into the market. Is it a joint venture? Is it an acquisition? Is it sales to begin with? And not all companies do a very good job, I have to say, in preparation. And when they are ready, one of the key mistakes that I have observed over the 30 years I've been involved here is that they cut corners. For example, if they have someone in their company already who may or may not be familiar with Russia, they'll put that person in charge. Or another example is when someone has been successful inside the company in another market, they're hoping that person will be successful in Russia, whereas that person may not have any specific experience here. It's been my approach over the years that you can really teach what someone should be doing in a particular company to any intelligent person. But what you can't really teach is the essence of how to work in Russia, the cultural, linguistic, and other requirements. So it's very important that management that comes here on behalf of a foreign investor is well versed in that, in those things. The other thing that I find quite curious, I suppose, is that a lot of companies don't fully evaluate the local workforce. It's my experience that the real strength in Russia lies in its young people, and we've had, over the years in the different jobs I've held here, the real success comes from finding the right people, training them, motivating them, and they'll deliver.